NCERT Biology textbook for 12th standard. Chapter number 4, Reproductive Health. You have learned about the human reproductive systems and its function in chapter number 3. Now let's discuss a closely related topics like the reproductive health. What do we understand by this term? The term simply refers to as a health reproductive organs with normal functions. However, it has a broader perspective and includes the emotional and the social aspects of the reproduction also. According to World Health Organization, that is the WHO, reproductive health means a total well-being in all aspects of the reproduction, that is the physical, emotional, behavior and the social. Therefore, a society is a people having a physically and functionally normal reproductive organs and a normal emotional and the behavior interaction among them in all sex-related aspects might be called as a reproductively healthy. Why is it significant to maintain the reproductive health and what are the methods taken up to achieve it? Let us examine them. 4.1 is the reproductive health, the problems and the strategies. India was amongst the first country in the world to initiate the action plan and the programs at the national level to attain the total reproductive health as a social goal. This program called as a family planning were the initiated in the 1951 and were the periodically assessed over a past decades. Improved the program covering a wider reproduction related areas are currently in the operation under the popular name is the reproductive and the child health care, that is the RCH programs. Creating awareness among the people about the various reproductive related aspects and the providing the facilities and the support for the building up the reproductively healthy society are major tasks under these programs. With the help of the audio visual and the print media, governmental and the non-governmental agencies have taken a various steps to create awareness among the people about the reproduction related aspects. Parents, other close relatives, teachers and the friends also have a major role in the dissemination of the above information. Introduction of the sex education in a school should also be encouraged to provide the right information to the youngs so as to discourage the children from the believing in myths and having the misconception about the sex related aspect. The proper information about the reproductive organs, the adolescence and the related changes, safe and the hygienic sexual practices, the sexually transmitted diseases, that is the STD, the AIDS, etc. would help the peoples, especially those in the adolescent age group, to lead to the reproductively healthy life. Educating peoples, especially the fertile couple and those in the marriageable age group, about the available birth control options, care of the pregnant mothers and the postnatal care of the mother and the child, importance of the breastfeeding, the equal opportunities for the male and the female child, etc., would address the importance of the bringing up the socially conscious healthy families of desired size. The awareness of the problems due to the uncontrolled population growth, the social evil like the sex abuse and the sex related crimes, etc., needs to be created to enable the peoples to think and take up the necessary steps to prevent them and thereby build up the socially responsible and the healthy society. Successful implementation of the various action plans to attain the reproductive health requires the strong infrastructure facilities, the professional expertise and material support. These are the essential to provide the medical assistance and the care of the people in the reproduction related problems like the pregnancy, delivery, STD and abortions, contraception, menstrual problems and infertility, etc. The implementation of the better technique and the new strategies from the time to time are also required to provide the more efficient care and the assistance to the people. The statutory ban on the amniocentesis for the sex determination is a legally checked increase the menace of the female foeticides, massive child immunization, etc. are the some programs that are merits mentioned in this connection. In the amniocentesis, some of the amniotic fluid of the developing fetus is taken to analyze the fetal cells and dissolve the substances. This procedure is used to test for the presence of the certain genetic disorders such as the Down syndromes, hemophilia, sickle cell, anemia, etc. Determine the survivability of the fetus. The research on the various reproduction related areas are encouraged and supported by the governmental and the non-governmental agencies to find out the new methods and or to improve upon the existing ones. Do you know that the Saheli, a new oral contraceptive for the female, was developed by scientists at a Central Drug Research Institute, that is the CDRI, in Lucknow, India. Better awareness about the sex related matter increase the number of the medically assisted deliveries and the better postnatal care, leading to decrease the maternal and the infant mortality rate, increase the number of the couples with small families and a better direction and the cure of the STD, and the overall increase the medical facilities for all sex related problems, etc. all indicates the improved reproductive health of the society. Now the 4.2 is the population stabilization and the birth control. At last century and all around the developed in a various field significantly improves the quality of the life of the people. However, increase the health facilitated along with the better living conditions had an explosive impact on the growth of the population. The world population, which was around 2 billions, the 2000 millions in 1900 rocketed to about the 6 billion by 2000 and the 7.2 billion in 2011. A similar trend was observed in India too. Our population which was approximately 350 millions at the time of our independence, reached close to the billions mark by the 2000 and crossed the 1.2 billion in May 2011. The rapid decline in the death rate, the maternal mortality rate, that is the MMR, and the infant mortality rate, that is the IMR, as well as the increase in the number of the people in reproducible age and reproducible age are probable reasons for this. Though our reproductive child health, that is the RCG programs, though we could bring down the population growth rate, it was only marginal. According to the 2011 the census report, and the population growth rate was less than the 2%, that is the 20 per 1000 per year, the rate at which our population could increase rapidly. Such an alarming growth rate could lead to an absolute scarcity of the even the basic requirement, that is the food, shelter and the clothes, in spite of the significant progress made in those areas. Therefore, the government was forced to take up the serious measure to check this population growth rate. The most important steps to overcome this problem is to motivate the smaller families by using the various contraceptive methods. You might have seen the advertisement in the media as well as the posters or bills, etc., showing a happy couple with 2 children with the slogan "Hum do hamare do," we two, our two. Many couples, mostly the young, urban, working one, have even adopted and one child norm. The statutory raising of the marriageable age of the female to the 18 years and that of the male is a 21 year, and incentives given to the couple with the small families are two of the other measures taken to tackle this problem. Let us describe some of the common used contraceptive methods and which helps to prevent the unwanted pregnancies. An ideal contraceptive should be user friendly and easily available effect and the reversible with no or least side effect. It is also should in no way interfere with the sexual drive and a desire and or a sexual act of the user. A wide range of the contraceptive method are the presently available, which could be broadly grouped into the following categories, namely the natural and the traditional, barrier, IUDs, oral contraceptives, injectable, implanted, and the surgical methods. The natural methods work on the principle of avoiding the chance of ovum and the sperm meeting. The periodic abstinence is one such method in which the couple avoids or abstain from the coitus from the day 10 to the 17 of the menstrual cycle, when ovulation could be expected, as the chance of the fertilization are very high during this period. It is called as a fertile period. Therefore, by abstaining from the coitus during this period, the conception could be prevented. Withdrawal of the coitus interrupted is another method in which the male partner withdraws this penis from the vagina and just before the ejaculation so as to avoid the insemination. Lactational amenorrhea, that is absence of menstruation. The method is based on the fact that ovulation and therefore the cycle do not occurs during the period of the intense lactation following the parturitions. Therefore, as long as the mother breastfeeds the child fully, chance of the conceptions are almost nil. However, this method has been reported to be effective only up to a maximum period of the 6 months following the parturitions. As no medical or devices are used in these methods, side effects are almost nil. The chance of the failure, though, of this method are also high. In barrier methods, the ovum and the sperms are prevented from the physically meeting with the help of the barriers. Such methods are available for both male and the female. The condoms are the barriers made of the thin rubbers or a latex sheath that are used to cover the penis in the male or a vagina and the cervix in the female just before the coitus, so that the ejaculated semen would not enter into the female reproductive tracts. This can be prevent the conception. The NEET is the popular brand of the condom for the male, and use of the condoms has increased in the recent years due to its additional benefits of protecting the user from the contracting the STIs and the AIDS. Both the male and the female condoms are the disposable and can be self-inserted and thereby gives the privacy to the users. The diaphragms, cervical caps and the valves are used also the barrier made of the rubbers that are inserted into the female reproductive tract to cover the cervix during the coitus. They prevent the conceptions by blocking the entry of the sperm through the cervix. They are the reusable. The spermicidal cream or jellies and the foams are usually used along with these barriers to increase their contraceptive efficiency. Another effect and the popular method is to use the intrauterine devices, that is the IUDs. The devices are inserted by the doctor or expert nurses in the uterus through the vagina. These intrauterine devices are presently available as the non-medicated IUDs, for example, the lipase loop, the copper releasing IUDs, that is the CUT and the CU7, multi-load 375, and the hormone releasing IUDs are progestacerts and the LNGs 20. The IUDs increase the phagocytosis of the sperm within the uterus, and the copper ion releasing suppress the sperm motility and the fertilizing capacity of the sperm. The hormone releasing the IUDs in addition make the uterus unsuitable for the implantation and the cervix hostile to the sperm. IUDs are the identical contraceptives for the female who want to delay the pregnancy and or the space of the children. It is one of the most widely accepted method of the contraception in India. The oral administration of the small doses of either progestogen and the progestogen-estrogen combination is another contraceptive method used by the female. They are used in the form of the tablets and hence are the popularly called as the pills. The pills have to be taken daily for the period of the 21 days, starting preferably within the first 5 days of the menstrual cycle after the gap of the 7 days. During which the menstruation occurs, it has to be repeated in a same pattern till the female desire to prevent the conception. They inhibit the ovulation and the implantation, as well as alter the quality of the cervical mucus to prevent or retard entry of the sperm. The pills are very effective with a lesser side effect and are well accepted by the females. The Saheli, a new oral contraceptive for the female, contains a non-steroidal preparations. It is a once a week the pill with very few side effects and high contraceptive values. The progesterone alone or in a combination with the estrogen can also be used by the female as ejaculation and the implants under the skin. Their mode of the action is similar to that of the pills and their effective periods are much longer. The administration of the progestogen or a progestogen-estrogen combination or IUDs within 72 hours of the coitus have been found to be very effective as an emerging contraceptive, as they could be used to avoid the possible pregnancy due to the rape or a casual unprotected intercourse. The surgical method, also called as a sterilization, are generally advised for the male or a female partner as an internal method to prevent any more pregnancies. The surgical intervention block gamete transport and thereby prevent the conceptions. Sterilization procedure is in male is called as a vasectomy, and that of the female is the tubectomy. In vasectomy, the small part of the vasa differentia is removed and or tied up through a small incision or a scrotum, whereas the tubectomy, a small part of the fallopian tube is removed or tied up through the small incision in the abdomen or through the vagina. These techniques are highly effective, but their responsibility is very poor. It needs to be the emphasis that the section of the suitable contraceptive methods and its use should always be undertaken in the consultation with the qualified medical professionals. One must also remember that the contraceptives are not regular requirement for the maintenance of the reproductive health. In fact, they are practiced against the natural reproductive events, that is the conception or a pregnancies. One is the forced to use this method either to prevent the pregnancy or to delay or space pregnancy during during to the personal reason. No doubt the widespread use of this method have the significant role in checking the uncontrolled growth of the population. However, their possible ill effect will like the nausea, abdominal pain, back through the bleeding, irregular menstrual bleeding, or even a breast cancer, though not very significant, should not be totally ignored. The 4.3 is a medical terminations of the pregnancies, that is the MTP. The intentional or a ovulatory termination of the pregnancy before the full term is called as a medical terminal of the pregnancy, that is the MTP, or induced abortions. Nearly the 45 to the 50 million MTPs are performed in a year all over the world, which account to the 1/5 of the total number of the conceived pregnancies in a year. Where to accept or legalized MTPs are not in being debated upon in many countries due to the emotional, ethical, religious and social issues involved in it. Government of the India legalized the MTPs in 1971 with some strict conditions to avoid its misuse. Such restrictions are all more important to check the incriminate and illegal female foeticides which are reported to the high in India. Why MTPs? Obviously the answer is to get rid of the unwanted pregnancies, either due to the casual, unprotected intercourse or a failure of the contraceptive use during the coitus or rapes. MTPs are also essential in certain cases where the continuation of the pregnancies could be harmful or even fatal either to the mother or to the fetus or both. The MTPs are considered relatively the safe during the first trimester, that is up to the 12 weeks of the pregnancy. The second trimester abortions are much more riskier. One disturbing the trends observed is that the majority of the MTPs are performed illegally by unqualified quacks, which are not only unsafe but could be the fatal too. The another dangerous trend is the misuse of the amniocentesis and to determine the sex of the unborn child. Frequently, if the fetus is found to be female, it is followed by the MTPs, and this is totally against what is legal. The such practices should be avoided because these are the dangerous both for the young mothers and the fetus. Effective counseling on the need to avoid the unprotected coitus and risk factors involved in the illegal abortions, as well as providing the more health care facilities, could reverse the mentioned unhealthy trends. Now the 4.4 is a sexual transmitted infection, that is the STIs. The infection or diseases which are transmitted through the sexual intercourse are collectively called as a sexual transmitted infections, STIs, or a venereal diseases, the VD, or a reproductive tract, that is the infections, that is the RTI. The gonorrhea, syphilis, the genital herpes and the chlamydiasis, genital warts, trichomoniasis, the hepatitis B, and of course the most discussed infections in the recent years, the HIV leading to the AIDS, are some of the common STIs, that is the sexually transmitted infections. Among these, the HIV infection is the most dangerous and is discussed in detail chapter. Some of these infections like the hepatitis B and HIV can also be transmitted by the sharing of the injection needles, surgical instrument, etc. with the infected person, transfusion of the bloods, or from the infection mother to the fetus too. Except for the hepatitis B, the genital herpes and the HIV infections. Other diseases are completely curable if they detected early and treated properly. Early symptoms of the most of these are the minor and includes the itching, the fluid discharge, the slight pain, swelling, etc. in the genital region. Infected female may often be the symptomatic and hence may remain undetected for a long. Absence or a less significant symptom in the early stage of the infection and the social stigma attached to the STI deter the infected person from going for the timely detection and the proper treatment. This could lead to the complications later, and which include the pelvic inflammatory diseases, that is the PIDs, abortions and stillbirths, ectopic pregnancies and infertility, or even a cancer of the reproductive tract. STI are the major threats to healthy societies, and therefore the prevention or the early detection and the cure of these diseases are the given prime consideration under the reproductive health care programs. Though all persons are vulnerable to these infections and their incidence are reported to be a very high among the persons in the age group of the 15 to the 24 years. The age group to which the you also belongs, there is no reason to the panic because the prevention is possible. One could be free of these infections by following simple principles given below. Avoid the sex with unknown partner or a multiple partners. Always try use the condom during the coitus. In case of doubt, one should go a qualified doctor for early detection and get complete treatment if diagnosed with the infection. Now the 4.5 is infertility. A discussion of the reproductive health is incomplete without the mention of the infertility. A large number of the couples all over the world, including the India, are infertile. That is, they are unable to produce the children in spite of the unprotected sex co-inhabitation. The reason for this could be the many physical congenital diseases, drugs, immunological, or even psychological. In India, often a female is blamed for the couple being childless, but more often than not, the problem lies in the male partner. Specialized healthcare units, the infertility clinics, etc., could help in the diagnosis and the corrective treatment of some of these disorders and enable these couples to have the children. However, where such corrections are not possible, the couple could be assisted to have the children through the certain special techniques commonly known as assisted reproductive technologies, that is the ARTs. The in vitro fertilization, that is the IVF, fertilization outside the body in almost similar conditions as that in the body, followed by the embryo transfer, that is the ET. It is one of the such method. In this method, the popularly known as the test tube baby program, ova from the wife or a doctor female and the sperm from the husband or donor male are collected and are induced to form the zygote under the simulated conditions in a laboratory. The zygote or early embryos with up to the 8 blastomeres could then be transferred into the fallopian tube, that is the XIIth, that is the zygote intra-fallopian transfer, and the embryos with more than the 8 blastomeres into the uterus, that is the IUTs, the intra-uterine transfer, to complete its further development. The embryos form by in vitro fertilization, the fusion of the gametes within the female, also could be used for such transfer to assist those females who cannot conceive. Transfer of the ovum collects from the donor into the fallopian tube, that is the XIIth. The gamete intrafallopian transfer of another female, you cannot produce one but can provide the suitable environment for the fertilization and further development is another method attempts. The intracytoplasmic sperm ejection, that is the ICSI, is another specialized procedure to form the embryo in a laboratory in which the sperm is directly injected into the ovum. The infertility cases either due to the inability of the female partner to inseminate the female or due to a very low sperm count in ejaculates could be corrected by the artificial insemination, that is the AI technique. In this technique, the semen collect either from the husband or the healthy donor is artificially introduced either into the vagina or into the uterus, that is the IUI, intrauterine insemination of the female. Though the options are many, all these techniques requires extremely high precision handling by the specialized professional and the expensive instrumentation. Therefore, these facilities are presently available only in a few countries, in a few centers in the countries. Obviously, their benefits is affordable to only a limited number of people. Emotional, religious, and the social factors are also deterrents in the abortions of these methods, since the ultimate aim of those procedures is to have the children. In India, we have too many orphans and the destitute children, which would probably not survive fully maturity unless taken care of. Our laws permit the legal adoption, and it is as yet one of the best mentioned for the couple looking for the parenthood. Now the summary of the reproductive health. The reproductive health refers to as the total well-being in all aspects of the reproduction, that is physical, emotional, behavior and the social. Our nation was the first nation in the world to initiate the various action plans at a national level towards the attaining the productively healthy society. Counseling and the creating the awareness among the people about the reproductive organs, adolescents and the associate the changes, safe and the hygiene sexual practices. The sexually transmitted infection, that is the STIs, include the AIDS, etc., is a primary steps towards the reproductive health. Providing the medical facilities and care to problems like the menstrual irregularities, pregnancy-related aspects, delivery, medical termination of the pregnancies, STIs, the birth control, infertility, postnatal child, and the maternal management is another important aspects of the reproductive and the child health care program. An overall improvement in the reproductive health has taken place in our country is indicated by the reduced maternal and the infant mortality rate, and early detection and cure the STI, the assistance to infertile couples, etc. Improve the health, facilitate and better living conditions, promoted an explosive growth of the population. Such a growth necessitate the intense propagations of the contraceptive methods. Various contraceptive options are available now, such as natural, the traditional barrier, that is the IUDs, pills and ejectable implants and the surgical methods. Though the contraceptives are not regular requirement for the reproductive health, one is forced to use them to avoid the pregnancies or to delay or space pregnancy. The medical termination of the pregnancies is legalized in our countries. The MTPs is generally performed to get rid of the unwanted pregnancies due to rape and casual relations, etc., as also in case when the continuation of the pregnancy could be harmful or even fatal to either mother or the fetus or both. The infection or a disease transmitted through the sexual intercourse are called as a sexually transmitted diseases, that is the STI. The pelvic inflammatory diseases, that is the PIDs, Stillbirth, infertility are the sum of the complications of them. The early detection facilitates the better cure of these diseases. Avoiding the sexual intercourse with unknown or a multiple partner, use of the condoms during the coitus are some of the simple precautions to avoid the contracting STIs. The inability to conceive or produce a children even after the 2 years of the unprotected sexual cohabitation is called as infertility. The various methods are known available to help such couples. In vitro fertilization followed by the transfer of the embryo into the female genital tract is one such a method and is commonly known as the test tube baby programs. Thank you so much.